A very, very accurate picture, very detailed picture. But how do you know how people lived their lives in remote wilderness in early 19th century if nobody talked about it, nobody wrote about it anyways? So it took a lot of digging, a lot of research to be able to start assembling, a really intimate portrait of how people possibly could have experienced being at that period of time. And there was a lot of conflicting narratives as well in the story, because you got a confluence of Métis people, various First Nations people, you had poor Orkney and Scottish Highland settlers all coming together, a lot of them being manipulated by powers much greater than themselves for reasons that were beyond their ken, and sort of thrown in together. And in the case of this story, right in the middle of essentially a war that erupted based on the fur trade between the Northwest Company and the Hudson's Bay Company, and the Métis people first emerging as a unified force in the West. So that's roughly the story, and it follows, it's more or less the story of a young woman who comes from the Orkney as a settler with her father to Rupert's Land, to the new, what was called the Selkirk Settlement, which was a settlement that Lord Selkirk tried to set up in Western Canada about 1,000 miles west of any other settlement. And what these people, these peasants and these settlers did not know was the land was very bitterly contested between the Northwest Company, the Hudson's Bay Company, First Nations people, and the Métis people. And so these people believed they were coming to a new land, a promised land, and didn't realize they were going to be dropped into the middle of a war. And in this story, this young woman falls in love with what at the time was called a half-caste individual, half Scottish, half Cree, and she falls in love with him. And at the time, such thing was unconscionable. It was literally impossible. And basically the story follows the experiences that these people have trying to make this work in this time and place.